Only a Sith could have made this movie. I will do what I must. And I will destroy this movie because this movie was awful. This movie was terrible. Now, I was avoiding this movie for a long time because people were saying, oh, like, this movie's awful, this movie's terrible, it should be removed from canon, yada, yada, yada. The internet blew up. The internet went nuts. Like, I was like, I don't want to be part of that. I was like, okay, this is already too much. But they're not wrong, because this movie is just not good. Now, I don't know one person who likes this movie. I really do not. So this might be this is going to be a very interesting review. I want to see, like, what my audience thinks now, because I don't like this movie. I'm curious to know if you don't like the movie either, if you saw it. So anyway, guys, this is my Star Wars The Last Jedi review. We're going to be splitting this up into two versions. We got the non-spoiler review, and then later in the video we got the spoiler review, so that way I can, go a little bit more deeper into the reasons why I don't like the movie, into the reasons why things didn't make sense for me, or why things just kind of, threw me off. So anyway, guys, let's get into this with the non-spoiler section. I'm going to start with the characters. I got a lot to say about the characters because I feel like we had this weird transition from the last movie where some of the characters and their motivations were changed and were alternated, or they're, something's not right with the character. Let's start with Rey. Now, again, I can't really talk about Rey too much unless I go into spoiler territory, but all I will say about Rey is I feel like overall she just wasn't as good in this movie as she was in the last movie. I saw a better performance from her in the last movie than in this one. It didn't help either that she didn't seem like she got a lot of screen time as much as she did in the last movie. And it kind of sucks because probably the most interesting parts of the movie were when you were on this island with Rey and Luke. And it kept pulling me out of it and going back to this resistance. So basically the main story is the resistance is basically on the run from the First Order. How are they on the run after blowing up the freaking Death Star for, like, what, 3 or 4 times now? So I know it's not called the Death Star, but a lot of people made fun of it for being like a Death Star. But it's like, okay, they blew them up, now they're getting chased. It's like, shouldn't it be the other way around? Or what, did you kick a hornet's nest and now they're pissed and they're just coming at you with full force? I mean, I don't know. But, I don't know, it just didn't feel like right. And then, it's like, a lot of this takes place in space. Like, we're in this spaceship most of the time, with Princess Leia, Poe Dameron, BB-8, Finn, who's still unconscious. He actually wakes up after like 10 minutes of the movie, which was pretty freaking quick. So, and during the whole time, like, we're like around the resistance, I'm sitting there and thinking to myself, like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, it's not even doing anything in those moments to make me care about what's going on in that moment, because my brain is so on, Rey and Luke and their training, because that's the whole point, is that she's training. Ooh, pretty weird. Reminds you of The Empire Strikes Back a little bit. Where Luke goes to Yoda and, exactly. So, going back to Rey, again, I feel like her character was also off. Like, I feel like she was different a little bit. Now, I get it. She should be a little different because she went through a little bit of a traumatic experience fighting Kylo and all that. But I don't know. A lot of people were, I gotta stop because I don't want to spoil anything because I'm going into that territory now. I gotta wait. All right, so Luke. Now listen, I love Luke Skywalker. Now, he is not, yeah, I guess I could argue he's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I don't know if he is my favorite. Honestly, I don't ever stick around Star Wars enough to actually think about who's my favorite character in the universe or in the Star Wars universe. But he's up there. He's up there, and I really do respect him for his bravery and, you know, him being a hero. You know, the hero's journey in general. He's just a really cool character. I consider him to be one of the most, and a lot of people consider him to be one of the most powerful Jedi ever. So it just kind of blows my mind how they did this character in the movie. And I did a lot of research. Apparently, Mark Hamill himself did not approve of this movie, and he was not a fan of what Rian Johnson did to his character at all. And I 100% agree. I was trying to find something in him to like, and there were moments where I was like, okay, that's cool. I like what they're doing there with Luke, but at the same time, it's like, I'm like, where is the Luke Skywalker from A New Hope? Where's the Luke Skywalker from The Empire Strikes Back? Where is the Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi? Like, where is he? Like, he's just, like, you look at him and he's not there. Like, you watch him milk a fucking whatever that is, and you're like, what? That's Luke Skywalker? Like, you're sitting there, you're kind of scratching your head, because you can't wrap your brain around the fact of how different his character is compared to the last movies. So it's really disappointing, especially with the very first like minute of seeing him in the movie. So it just kind of they had moments. Like, there were moments in this movie for Luke, for me, where I was like, that's cool, he's doing something cool. And then there's moments where I'm like, what is he doing? Like, it goes back and forth for me. Overall, I understand why people were upset. I understand why Mark was upset. And I feel like that, you know, this could have been better. So let's go to Kylo now. Now listen, Kylo is just the same as he was. A stuck-up little brat who sits there and has a temper tantrum and destroys shit. That's what he does. He's like, he'll just go nuts. Like that's what he does. That's like sometimes what I want to do. I just want to take my lightsaber and just start hitting shit, you know, against the fucking wall, because that's his character. He is bratty, he is immature, and he's probably one of my least favorite characters. Now listen, one of the things that I liked about him in The Force Awakens was when he had his mask on and when he was giving off this very cold, very almost robotic, calculated look under the mask. Like you're looking at him and you're like, is that even like a man? Like that's what I think was scary about him from the first movie. Is like kind of the same with Darth Vader, where it's like you look at him and it's like, is that even a man anymore? Like that person looks absolutely just terrifying. Like they look cold, calculated, like they're ready to do something terrible. Like that's the look that he had in the first movie, until he takes his mask off, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, fuck, put your mask back on. It changes the character for me. And then he flat out destroys, because it's not a spoiler, he destroys the helmet, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why? What do you mean let the past die? This doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, what's the point? What was the point? Like, is this a metaphor for people who are holding on to the old movies? Like, what does that mean? So it's like, what? Now, again, with this movie, I felt a disturbance in the Force. All right, I felt a disturbance in the Force. If you guys remember the last video I did where I sat here and I told you about, you know, how I thought the trailer looked a little suspicious. And I wasn't wrong, apparently. Maybe I have the Force. I don't know. But going back to Kylo, again, his character, again, I'm not a fan of his character. I mean, he's so easy to manipulate. That's the problem with his character. He's one of those characters where he's so easy to manipulate, and that's what I hate about him. Like, he's so easy to just mess with, and it bothers me because I feel like he could be a great villain, but they just decide to do the way they did it, and it just, I don't know, I would have did that a little differently for his character. So, I don't know, man. So, let's talk about, let's talk about, I almost let slip again. Okay, I can't say that, Mike. You can't say that, okay? Can't say that. Let's talk about Snoke. Snoke. That's who I meant to say. Sorry. So, he's the big bad guy, right? He's kind of like at the end of The Last Jedi with like Darth Sidious or whatever. He's the main bad guy, right? His character, I actually was like, oh, he's pretty good. Like, that's cool. Like, I like this villain. You know, like, he looks pretty badass. Like, he looks threatening. Especially with some of the things that he can do, like in the trailer when he's just like holding Rey like that, like that, and you know that's in the movie. It's like that's a very powerful Sith. You know that's dangerous. That's a dangerous fight right there. So I was like, okay, that's gonna be cool. I feel like there wasn't enough of him. I feel like we only got like 2 or 3 good scenes with him. And I'll talk about more about why I was upset about what they did with his character at the end of the spoiler section. But overall, I thought he was probably a very good villain. And again, I'll continue talking about that in the spoiler section. So I want to talk about Finn, because Finn is... I actually like Finn. I really like Finn. Like, I liked him since The Force Awakens. I'm actually surprised that I liked him in this movie. I really am, because a lot of people were saying things about this casino part of the movie, about this Rose character and all that, blah, blah, blah. I'll get to that. But Finn himself, great character. Like by himself or with whatever people, he's a great character, like, to watch on screen. I'm like, this is a cool guy. You know, like, to me personally, he's probably just as cool or a little bit less than, you know, Lando, you know, because he's really interesting, and I really like his character. I like how he, you know, goes from, you know, The Force Awakens to wanting to run away from the First Order and all that to, you know, this movie where he's like, we gotta bring the fight to them. You know, like, I like that. I really like his character change. He's probably the only character, I will say, one of the only characters in this movie who I feel like actually his character motivation actually made sense. But you know, who do I know? All right, let's talk about BB-8, the little rolly ball guy. You know, here's the thing with BB-8. He's one of those characters where, you know, I always like R2. Like one of the reasons why I like Star Wars so much is because one of the very first things I liked about Star Wars, and honestly, this is how I started liking Star Wars. It went from BB-8. So I went from BB-8, or not BB-8, R2, sorry. I went from, like, R2, like, I like the little robot. He's kind of cool. And then my Star Wars fandom went to, Jedi and, like, Sith and, like, good versus evil and the lightsabers and all that stuff. So that's the second part of it. And then I guess the third and last part is, you know, the Resistance and the First Order and the, you know, the Empire and all that stuff. That's like the order in which I started liking Star Wars. And honestly, I don't think of myself as a huge Star Wars fan. I really don't. I don't think of myself as, like, this fan who's, like, you know, knows every single little thing about Star Wars. Now, I'll say that about Spider-Man, and I'll fight you on that, but like, Star Wars, you know, if someone's like, hey, you know, this character or whatever is supposed to be like this or whatever, then I'm like, I'm not arguing with you. You obviously know. You know, but with Spider-Man, you guys know. That's my territory. But anyway, going back to BB-8. BB-8, he's fun because he's like a little roly ball. You know, he's not like R2 where he's kind of like stiff and he moves around. But I prefer R2 because I just like R2 more. Like, I just do. There's no, like, really reason why. It's just because. But I like BB-8. I feel like BB-8 was not as portrayed as well as much as he was in the last movie, honestly. I thought he was a little bit better in the last movie. But I don't know. That's just my opinion and all that. So let's talk about Poe Dameron. Poe is in this movie, obviously, and he is reckless. Like that's his character. That's what he's doing a lot. He's being very reckless, according to everyone on the ship, apparently. And you can argue that throughout the movie as you watch it, but I don't know. Honestly, again, he's another one of those characters where I just liked him better in the last movie. You know, it's just, I don't know. I honestly don't have a lot to say about Poe Dameron. Okay, so let's talk about Leia, Princess Leia. So, Princess Leia, or General Leia, if you would call her, is in this movie, obviously. And she is, you know, the general. She's in charge of the whole thing. And honestly, I don't really have a lot to say about her other than the fact that, you know, rest in peace, because she died in real life, unfortunately. And, you know, we'll see what they'll do in the next movie. But I can't really say anything else right now about her and her character. But, you know, rest in peace. All right, so let's move on to the spoiler section. Or actually, before we move on to the spoiler section, let me give you my rating of the movie. Now, again, I told you this movie was awful. I hated this movie, and if you stick around for the spoilers, I will explain why, if you've seen the movie already or if you just don't care. It's a 3 out of 10. It's a 3 out of 10. I honestly hate this more than the prequels. I do. Honestly, I would be very interested to see if people hate this movie more than the prequels. It's like, wow, you did a good job of making all the Star Wars fans pissed off, and more than the prequels. I think I've seen a few comments in a few other people's videos where it's like, this is worse than the prequels or whatever. It's like, wow, really? It's that bad? And this is me before I watched the movie. I was like, wow, really? I gotta see this now. And then I saw it and I was like, what did I just watch? What did I watch? Like, what is this? And, you know, one of the biggest problems with this movie is that it doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie. You know, the thing with Disney is right now these days is they just like to change a lot of things with certain movies, a lot of movies lately with Marvel and all that. And they're doing that with Star Wars. Listen, here's the biggest problem with this movie. It's not the same director who's doing this movie. It's a different director. J.J. Abrams directed the last movie. He had this vision for the movie series. But then Rian Johnson comes in, changes all that, and completely just screws everything up. You know, and it sucks, and it's annoying, and I'm really disappointed. I guess another thing I can say before I get to spoilers is I feel like there were a lot of CGI compared to the last movie where they relied on, you know, actual Muppets and props. And that was disappointing because I think one of the best things about Star Wars is when you actually create, you know, actual props for movies. In any movie, honestly, but, you know, CGI should be used when needed, and I don't know, they just CGI'd it up a lot, especially with those starships battles and all that. Alright, guys, but like I said, 3 out of 10, if you are sticking around for the spoilers, stick around, and if not, come back after you watch the movie. Alright, guys, spoiler section. Alright, here we go. So, we got a lot to talk about because I have to sit here and explain to you why this movie sucked now. Or at least why I thought it sucked. So now, like I do with all movies, I have a positive and I have a negative side. So, I'm going to start with positives because there are more negatives than positives. So, one of the best parts about this movie for me and why I feel like Luke Skywalker... This is one of Luke Skywalker's great moments in the movie, is when he's talking to Yoda. When he's talking to Yoda. I'm like, wow, like, Yoda's here. Like, that's so cool. Like, that's cool. You know, and, like, you know, they're talking, and it's really sweet at this point. But, you know, but then all of a sudden, Yoda just destroys the freaking books or whatever. Or, like, these Jedi books. I don't know why. But I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, what's with him and lightning all of a sudden? I actually watched the How It Should Have Ended first, before I actually saw the movie. And I was, like, thinking to myself, like, yeah, what is it with lightning and him all of a sudden? He just, like, what? But, because, you know, Siths do that usually with the lightning. But I guess because he's a ghost, it doesn't matter. But yeah, this was a nice talk with these two. I kind of wish that he was, you know, his dad was there, like, you know, Anakin. Listen. If Anakin met Ben, if he met Kylo and he just literally had a chat with the dude, this franchise would be over. Like, because if you remember in the first movie, he was doing this all for Darth Vader, for Anakin Skywalker, or, you know, for Darth Vader. So it's like, he just said, let the past die, forget all of it. What is your motivation, sir? Like, I don't understand. Okay, going back to positive, sorry, there's a lot to discuss. Luke and Kylo fight. Now, this is honestly also on the negative side. About this is because I was hoping I would get something like this at the end of the movie. I was hoping I'd get to see them fight or something. And, you know, I think it was really cool how they did it a little bit. But, again, on the flip side of that, I think, you know, leading to the events of Luke's death, I feel like what just happened? What happened? What's going on? I also didn't like how he wasn't even there. He wasn't even there for the fight. He was just a ghost or whatever. And he gives, like, Princess Leia, like, I guess Han's lucky dice or something that he hung up on the Millennium Falcon. And then Kylo picks them up and they're like, they just fade away. What those were a projection of the Force too. Like, it didn't make sense to me. It really didn't. And honestly, if I was to sit here and argue with a Star Wars fan, I would argue that I think Luke can beat all those guys by himself. I really do. Like, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, Luke can't do that because, you know, he's not that strong. Luke is one of the most powerful Force wielders in Star Wars history. Like, do you really think Darth Vader is one of the most powerful Force wielders ever? Like, why couldn't Luke just stop all the bullets and, you know, hit him like baseball bats or whatever, like you didn't, you know, if you saw How It Should Have Ended's video. But my point is, like, if Kylo can stop a bullet with the Force, why can't he stop all those bullets? Like, why can't he just do that? Why is he not there? Sorry, I'm getting a little over my head because I just want to start going at this movie. But yeah, the Luke and Kylo fight, I am glad that they got a little confrontation at the end there. That was cool. I like that. So this is honestly probably my last positive. If I come up with any more positives, I'll let you know. But Luke coming to the aid of the Resistance. Again, at the very end of the movie, he's, you know, helping the Resistance. He shows up. I think Leia is like the only one who sees him in C-3PO. No one else really reacts. I mean, you know, when he walks outside, then everyone sees him. But I don't know. Like, it was a little weird, but yet it was very cool, and it was very nice to see, you know, Luke talking to Leia again. And I like that. I like that a lot. Makes, you know, it was very exciting to watch, and it was very cool. I don't know, man. Here we go. Here's the negatives now. Oh my god, here we go. Alright, into the negatives. Fuck. Alright. Too much boring resistance. Too much. Too much. Okay. I'm sitting there, I'm watching this fucking movie, and I'm sitting here, I'm watching the Resistance. I'm like, I I don't give a fuck. This is not interesting. I want to go back to the fucking Luke and Rey training simulation. I don't care about the Resistance in this movie. This movie in the Resistance, it's like, how the fuck are you getting mowed down? First of all, it's like what the fuck happened from the last movie to where you and 500 other troops are getting like chased down by this fucking ship? Like, it doesn't even really explain how we get to that point. It's like, what the fuck? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And then, like, the fucking purple-haired bitch or whatever, it's like, what the fuck? I hate you. I want to slap you. Fucking Poe is like, I feel so bad for Poe in this movie. He gets shot by Leia with a stunner. He gets fucking told off by everybody in the fucking movie. They basically treat Poe like shit. Like, yeah, he's a loose cannon, but it's like, come on, give the guy some slack. He's just trying to help. And it's like, fuck. And then the whole part where fucking the ship gets shot, it fucking blows up, and Admiral Akbar dies. Admiral Akbar, he dies. Like, he just dies in the most bitch way possible ever. In the most bitch way possible ever. If there was any scenario at all, where you could have killed Admiral Akbar, it probably would have been like how I know I keep referencing it, but like, you know, Hishi's video where he is, you know, the one who goes out with the ship. I mean, he does, technically, because he's in the damn captain's seat when he gets shot and killed, you know, but it's like, it's so fucking stupid, because it's like I feel like you did this for that SJW bullshit. And again, I don't talk about SJW shit on this channel. I don't like to talk about it, but a lot of people are saying that in a lot of different areas of the internet, and it's like, okay, I can see what you're saying a little bit, but honestly, at the end, I felt like I was like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna let some of this pass. But that sucked, how they just killed Admiral Akbar like that. And then Princess Leia, I feel like she should have died right there. She should have died right there. She should have died. So basically, Kylo, apparently we were right. He didn't shoot his mom. But it's like, of course, why the fuck would you shoot your mom? Like I was scared that he was going to really shoot her. Because, I mean, I was like, okay, she died in real life. Princess Leia, she died in real life. And, you know, I saw the trailer. Is he gonna shoot her? I don't know. And then all of a sudden, his boys shoot him. It blows up. She's in space. She gets a fucking Man of Steel moment with the sun on her face. She comes to life somehow with the Force. She floats back to the ship. And listen, there's already a problem. When the fuck was it ever shown in the last movies that she has the Force ability? Now look, I do believe that Leia has the Force. I do believe that she can use the Force. I do, especially with Episode 5 or whatever, The Empire Strikes Back, where she, you know, feels Luke needing help, and they go back, turn the ship around, and go save him. She does have the Force. She does. But the level of concentration and everything that she had to have done to use that is ridiculous. That means you would have had to already put a Force shield around your body. You would already need to have a Force shield around your body to keep all the oxygen inside when you're in space. You're in space, you're dead. That's it. It's too cold. You're going to freeze to death, or you're going to suffocate, or your eye's going to pop out of your head. That's what's going to happen. So that means she would have had to have the shield around her already. So when I watched the scene, she didn't do that. There was no hinting that she was doing that. And then, boop, they're gone. I was like, oh, shit, they're dead. But no, it just cuts to the scene where she's just floating in the air, and then she just starts moving her fingers, and there she goes. You should have did a better job at least doing that scene, because it was surprising, but yet it was like, okay, pretty fucking powerful for Princess Leia, but okay. Like, okay, you really expect me to believe that all of a sudden. Alright, the Civil War and the Resistance. So basically, during this whole movie, Poe's fighting with the purple-haired, I'm going to call her purple-haired bitch because I don't know what her name is, okay? Purple-haired bitch, he's arguing with her all the time. She's fucking doing whatever. She's trying to abandon ship. And here's what's the funniest thing. Do you want to know what the funniest thing is? Poe was right! Poe was right! If you go into those escape passenger pods or whatever, you're gonna get shot and killed. You're defenseless. So Princess Leia and purple-haired bitch are like, they're on the same side, the same team, female power, and Poe was right. Poe was fucking right the entire time. So it blows my fucking mind how much that flew in their fucking face. And it was so stupid. It was so stupid. This whole time, we're like, okay, guys, are we fighting the First Order, or are we fighting each other at this point? What are we doing? Are we gonna just sit here and fight each other all fucking day? Or are we gonna, you know, be heroes? What are we doing? So it's so weird, and it feels so out of place almost. When in the hell have I ever seen the Resistance members fighting with each other? When? Like, really, this is the time for them to fight over commands and over who's in charge and over whose authority? Because we're being chased by fucking 20 fucking starships trying to kill us. I don't think we have time to sit here and fight over little shit. And it's so fucking ridiculous. But at the same time, it's like, I don't care, because none of this is interesting to me. And that's just me. I already talked about the purple-haired chick. Rose. Let's talk about Rose. So, apparently Rose had a sister, if I remember correctly. She died. And the way that Finn and her meet is so... It was kind of funny, because I loved how Finn just was, like, trying to vamoose. But, it's like... Rose is the type of character who you'd meet on the street, and they're so stuck up with their beliefs that they are so fucking annoying, and you don't like them for that reason alone. Like, I don't like her for the simple reason that she is just... I don't know. I just don't like her mindset. I don't like the way she just... I don't know, like, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I don't even understand her. I'm at a loss for words. That's how much I don't like this woman. Moving on, because honestly, I don't want to sit here and talk about it anymore. Another negative is character motivations. Like I said before in the non-spoiler section, one of the biggest problems with this movie was, for example, Rey. So Rey and Kylo have this bridge connected with the Force or whatever for them allowed to kind of, I guess, talk or whatever. And it doesn't make sense, because at first she's like, you killed your dad, but then it's like almost like she's almost agreeing with him toward the end. She even starts fighting with the guy. It's like, you understand this is the bad guy, right? Like, you understand that this guy just murdered his father in front of you. Like, I don't think this guy's a great guy. And then there's even a fucking scene when he has no shirt on and they're talking, and it's like, what, was that supposed to be funny? Like again, the jokes in this don't fucking make any sense. Sometimes the humor is just off. The how you should be feeling in a certain moment is very confusing, whether you should laugh or whether you should be upset. I don't know. The pacing is terrible. Like, I literally couldn't keep up sometimes because it just felt weird. I don't know. Luke, again, when we see like two to three different scenes of Luke, like, I guess, gonna kill Kylo, like he's gonna strike him down in his sleep or whatever, which is pretty dark. And it's like, I don't think Luke would do that. It just doesn't seem like him. Like, it just kind of confused me. It didn't make any sense. That seems so off of his character. And I don't know, the whole time while he's teaching Rey, it's like, I don't understand. Like, why is he being that way? Why can't he just teach her the ways of the Force like Yoda taught him? Like he's not really doing a great job of teaching her, and it's just so fucking ridiculous, and it sucks so bad. Alright, let's talk about lightsaber scenes. So, one of the biggest flaws of this movie is its lightsaber scenes. The lightsaber scenes suck. The lightsaber scenes suck. They are awful. Now listen, here's the thing about the Force Awakens. The Force Awakens had less lightsabers, but yet they had characters that made you feel involved, and you like those characters, and you know, it did a great job of making you care about the story and about what's happening. In this movie, you don't care except for a few things. And one of the very few things I cared about was, of course, lightsaber scenes. There were a lot of lightsabers in this movie. Unfortunately, the fighting is terrible because either they don't know how to fight with a lightsaber, some of these characters, or they just flat out aren't interesting to watch. Now, in The Force Awakens, the reason why that movie did a great job, even though they didn't have a lot of lightsaber scenes, was because they built up the tension for the lightsaber use. Meaning when you saw the lightsaber, like for example with Finn, like one of my favorite scenes in that movie is when, you know, he is talking to Chewie's girlfriend or whatever, and, you know, he's like, I need a weapon, and then she's like, you have one, and then he's got the lightsaber, and then he just turns it on, and then it was cool because it built up that tension, and it built up the lightsaber, seeing the lightsaber since, you know, The Last Jedi, and it's like, wow, that's so cool, and then at the very end, when we get that cool fight with Rey and Finn and Kylo, it was like, wow, that's awesome, because they built it up, they did it right, and it felt like it had a purpose. In this movie, I felt like there wasn't a lot of tension, a lot of big purpose or whatever. Now, I don't know, it didn't work for me. I hated the lightsaber scenes. They weren't interesting. The fights weren't good. They weren't good at all. I already talked about Admiral Akbar's death. I already talked about Princess Leia using the Force. Let's talk about Luke's death. Now, Luke died in this movie. And honestly, or he faded away into the Force, I don't fucking know. If this movie was better, I would be okay with it. But because this movie was bad, I hate it. Because it's like, we're never going to get a good scene of his death now, except this terrible movie. So, it just was kind of disappointing how we got a scene of him dying, but in a bad movie. And that's just, it sucks. Maybe he should have died in the next one. I don't know. But I didn't like that. I already talked about the humor. The humor was sometimes good, sometimes bad. The themes, I don't know what, sometimes I just didn't understand the themes. What'd I say? Was that racing? I don't even know what the fuck I write sometimes. The casino scene, I'll talk a little bit about the casino scene. So basically the casino scene is basically about rich people, essentially. That's basically what this is implying. And which is kind of fucking weird because the director obviously must be fucking filthy rich off of making money off a Star Wars franchise, but whatever. I don't know. Honestly, I don't really care. The casino scene, yes, did feel a little off. Didn't make a lot of sense. What was the point of Rey going to Luke? Yeah, exactly. What was the point? Because honestly, she basically learns nothing. She basically learns nothing from Luke. So it's like, why did she come here for Luke in the first place? It's like, okay, Luke's not gonna go to, you know, save the Resistance or whatever. He's not gonna do it. So therefore, why are you still here? And then, you know, we see him teach her a little bit, but then he always stops teaching her because he feels the dark side. He feels like something's wrong with her. Like, a lot of people were saying, oh, this would have been a great idea to introduce the Gray Jedi or whatever. And it's like, I'm thinking to myself, like, what? What's a gray Jedi? And then I gotta go on YouTube, I gotta look it up. Oh, it's like a mixture of dark and light or whatever, like, not really a Jedi, not really a Sith, yada, yada, yada. But, like, what? What the fuck? Like, it's usually, like, look, like, with Yoda and Luke, the thing is that you actually yourself learned something by watching, you know, Yoda teach Luke, for example. Where in this movie, it's like I'm watching it and, like, I'm not learning anything from this, like, at all. I don't know, man. All right. I'll talk about this. Okay, I'll skip that one. Snoke's death. Snoke died in this movie. He fucking died. He went out like a bitch. He literally got killed by Kylo, literally cutting him in half. Why? And the worst part is that Snoke was a better villain than Kylo. It sucks because I really like Snoke. He looked pretty interesting, and then they just kill him off. And it's like, why would you do that? Why would you go through all this trouble to make this guy very scary in the Force Awakens, and then in this movie you basically said, no, he's dead now. Like, what? Like, what? Like, this doesn't make sense to me. Like, it really doesn't. All right, and then finally, let's talk about Rey's parents. I know I've been saying, kudos to you if you made it this far. Rey's parents, okay? Rey's parents. They're just some random people. They're just some random junkers who sold her off, according to the movie. Here's the thing. I don't believe Kylo, because Kylo's the one who told her. I don't believe Kylo. I feel like this is one of those Darth Sidious lying to Darth Vader moments where, oh, you killed Padme in your anger, but in reality, she wasn't dead. I don't think that Rey's parents were just some random people. Now, listen, here's what I wanted from Rey's heritage. There were 4 things I wanted. 4 things. 4 fucking things. Wow, you gotta do a good job to fuck this up. You either won, which a lot of people are saying that this is the way to go. Oh, it's Luke's daughter because when she gets the lightsaber in The Force Awakens, Luke's theme's playing. So that's what made people start thinking that, oh, she's Luke's daughter or whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea because she's so powerful with the Force. It makes sense. Or, and this is the second option, maybe she is the sister of Kylo, and maybe, you know, they sent her away to make sure she was okay or whatever. I don't know, but it's kind of hard to figure out why that, you know, she would be on a desert planet all of a sudden then. So that would be a little bit hard to convince people of, but that would probably make the most sense since she's very strong with the Force. She would have to be a Skywalker, essentially. She would have to, because you don't just have the Force. Now, yes, the Force is inside of you, but there's a thing called Force wielders, and they can use the Force, where you have to be able to use the Force. She can use the Force, and she can use it very strongly. She's very strong. So it's like, okay, you got to do this right. Like, who's her parents? And they're like, they're just some junkers. This is what? They're just junkers? Are you fucking kidding? Are you serious? They're random people. And then a third option would be Ben Kenobi. A lot of people are saying, oh, she's Ben Kenobi's daughter. I don't believe that one. That one I don't believe, honestly. You know, you could make it make sense, maybe, but I don't know. Anyway, that's pretty much it, honestly. I guess the fourth and last one I would tell you would be, oh, maybe she's just created from the Force itself, like with Anakin or whatever. And yes, I watched a video before I made this video. A lot of people say, oh, it's Sidious who's the father or whatever because he manipulated the whatever those things are called with the Force, and that's how, you know, he was made. Technically speaking, you can argue that's still the Force, because the Force is not good or evil. It's just, you know, the Force. So you're still technically being created by the Force. So that'd be like if you can't have a baby with your girlfriend and you're like, hey, buddy, you want to help me out? But yeah, 3 out of 10. That's it. I'm all negatived out. And I don't know, man. This video is already super long. All I can say is I was really looking forward to this movie. I'm really disappointed because I like Star Wars. I really like Star Wars. And this was sad because I can't believe they would do this and not give a rat's ass about the fans. And, you know, because the thing with sci-fi is you need to make things connect. If you can't make things connect, then why are you even directing this movie? Are you just directing it because you're taking this opportunity, or do you actually care? So that's all I have to say, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm out of here. Up, and away. See you guys.